this webinar, Scaling for Success, Strategic Planning and Goal Setting. It's hosted in partnership with the PepsiCo Foundation's Impacto Hispanic Restaurant Accelerator. First, I'm excited to introduce Jesse Iñiguez, co-founder of Back of the Yards Coffee Co., and he is a dedicated entrepreneur deeply rooted in Chicago's South Side. Born to Mexican immigrants and a lifelong resident of Back of the Yards, Jesse has recognized the potential of a coffee business to make significant social impact. Next, we have Lizeth Morales, Peruvian restaurant chain owner with 11 years of experience. She's a former DACA recipient turned successful entrepreneur, and she is fully adept at scaling and operating multiple high-volume locations. And last but certainly not least, we have Pam Rosario. Pam is a Dominican attorney raised in NYC with over a decade of legal experience. She currently specializes in intellectual property and business law, helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get the legal assistance they need to run successful and legally protected endeavors. What are the key components to a business foundation and why are they important?
I like to think about your business foundations as being comprised of three pillars. I call them the three pillars of legal foundations or business foundations. And they are really quickly your financial protections, contractual protections, and intellectual, so your intellectual property. So I'll go over them each in a bit really quickly, but these are the pillars that I think that your business literally stands on to make sure that it's on a solid legal footing. And they're helpful to think about whether you're a new business owner or a business that's been in place for 5 or 10 years. So the financial pillar, this is all about the financial operations of your company, meaning are you your business entity, for example? Are you a limited liability company? Are you a corporation? Are you in good standing with your state? Are your books and records organized? Do you have a trusted accountant? Business bank account. So anything that has to do with money, the financial aspect, is all of that said? Do you feel good about it? And again, this can be something that you look into year after year just to make sure that everything, looks good. Second pillar, contractual, meaning what are the contracts that you have in place for your business? And this can be internal contracts with your employees, your independent contractors, and external contracts with your vendors or your manufacturers. Any business relationship that you enter into, again, internal or external, you want to make sure that there is a written agreement that lays out all of the details, right? Because you essentially want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about what's happening. What are the payments? What happens if someone wants to terminate? What are your responsibilities? What are my responsibilities as a business? That way, later on, if anything does go wrong, everyone knows, what the remedies are. It's in the contract. And then the last pillar is intellectual, meaning intellectual property. This can get really complex. So I'll just say, IP, as I'll call it, intellectual property, is about inventions of the mind. So where that comes up in your business is really trademarks and copyrights. It's about how the public perceives the brand, like what you think of. If I say McDonald's, immediately you're thinking about the golden arches, right? That's their brand identity. Those are trademarks. And then copyrights are more about your content. So if you write articles for your business, that's something that can be copyrighted. If you have images that you take for your website or your Instagram, those things can get copyright protection. So that's really what I think sets like a really good legal business foundation. I think the key to these business foundations is being strategic by figuring out what your specific game plan is for how to tackle things. Each business is different. Each business is unique. So each business is going to take these pillars and do them in different orders, at different times, in different ways. So, they're all important, of course, but I would say rely on your advisors, your accountants, lawyers to help you come up with a realistic timeline on when you need to get certain things done. For example, when I work with my clients, if you're a product-based business, I give you a different timeline than if you are a service provider. So the key, I think, is to have those goals and timelines, but make sure that they work for your particular business, for yourself, for your team, and that you're touching base. And then I'd say most importantly, allow yourself to change these timelines. It's okay if you get to a goal deadline and you're not quite there yet, right? Things happen, especially in business. So I would say, don't put so much pressure on yourself and, just be kind to yourself with the timeline. If you don't get to where you need to be at a certain time, it's okay, reassess, and then set a new goal or a new deadline.
What are some ways you have scaled your food business?
One of the, I think, critical things that helped us just get started was because we had no money, we had to do a crowdfunding campaign. But what that did for us was that not only did we raise more than what we had asked for and really kind of reaffirmed that we had a good idea of what we wanted to do, but most importantly, what it did for us, it created fans and customers and people that were willing to, give as little as $20 or $5 in some cases, but they wanted to support in some in one way, so that when we opened our door, we had a line out the door of people who either gave to our initial campaign or who were they shared our campaign and somebody else saw it and they came as well, and our first week was super successful, but we did, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears just to get started.
I will say, definitely there is a lot of trial and error. So I would first start with having the mindset of just having patience with yourself and understand that it takes time. But there are some key things that I started focusing a lot when I started seeing real results when it came to us scaling and growing. And Pamela touched on this, and it really is so key for me, is understanding your numbers and having a really great financial team. We're starting a business. We also don't have the money, right, to start hiring all these people. But if there are two areas that I say it's so important to invest in, is a really good financial team. Looking for someone that, for me, when I first started, that has experience with businesses, that has worked with restaurants before. And till this day, whenever I hire anyone, I always want them to have experience in my area, because a lot of times I'm not the expert, right? So I need someone that's going to help me out, that's going to give me information that I don't even know the questions to. So that's really first key, is just having a really good financial support. The second thing for me is branding and marketing. And when I say branding, is really taking the time to sort of say what makes my story unique. And a lot of times when we think of brands, we think of, the big brands, but in all is sort of saying to yourself, you have a unique story to share. As small business owners, as entrepreneurs, we all have such a powerful story to share, and being comfortable, letting your consumers, letting your community know what's your story. I found that for me, that started giving me a lot of great results, and it really allowed me to connect to my customers and my community. And then the third thing would be marketing, finding a good marketing team that's going to help you scale. Exactly what is the plan? For me, when I started focusing on volume, right, I wanted to have my restaurants reach a certain sales goal. Okay, what did I need to do to make that happen? Either start investing in Facebook ads, start partnering up with different delivery partners, whatever it may be, but having as well like a marketing team that can help you with that. And then for me, the last thing that's allowed me to scale is me as a restaurateur, remove myself from being the operator, right? And again, that's where giving yourself grace comes in, because when you start a business, you are most likely going to be the operator. You are most likely want to do everything. But remember, the big picture is you are the CEO. So your main job is always to focus on growth. So to do that little by little, we remove all these hats so that we can focus on the big picture.
I want to thank the PepsiCo Foundation and our local partners for the Impacto Hispanic Accelerator. Thank you to all the entrepreneurs out here today. I hope that you found some more information and you feel ready to watch your business thrive.